Evening everybody, how you doing? Morning, technically. How you doing? It's yeah, I've suddenly found myself with a little bit of spare time, so I thought I would actually make a video in the daylight. I thought I would use the opportunity to get on with the next of my future modification series. This will be the video about tattoos and my kittens in the Christmas tree. If you can hear what's some jingling in the background. Yeah, I thought I'd make the video about completely lost my train of thought. Great start. I thought I'd make the video about tattoos and scarification. I thought I'll get that done now while I can. I've been putting it off because I don't really know exactly where I'm going to go with this video. I had originally planned on trying to sit down and plan it out, but I suddenly found myself with some spare time, and it's actually daylight for once. So I thought I would straighten up there. I thought I would actually just try and get on with it and get this done now. I don't know if you can see my kitten. She's climbed up our Christmas tree. She's trying to knock everything off now. Yeah, we're back in the conservatory again. So sorry if it's a little bit noisy. It's very, very windy outside. I mean, there's lots of trees behind my house. So yeah, if there's lots of extra noise, I apologise for that. But hopefully you can still hear me okay, and hopefully you can see me. I'm using the actual main camera on the back of my phone, so I can't see if I'm actually properly in screen. So I hope I am. So yeah, like I said, I don't really know exactly where I'm going to go with this video, because I think, as I've mentioned before, tattoos in particular aren't something I'm that fussed about. I think they're pretty to look at, but as a general rule, I just don't really care about them that much. And that partly plays into why I've been putting this video off, just because, like I say, I didn't really know what I wanted to say, where I wanted to go with it. But yeah, I'm just going to start talking and see what happens. So here we go. This is, I think, part 4. And this will be covering tattoos and scarification. That's the plan anyway. We'll see how it ends up. My kitten's just run off again, right? So yeah. I waited a long time to start getting tattoos. I had wanted to get tattoos since I was a teenager. And pretty much since I'd been getting piercings and various other things. I don't know if you can hear that. I'm sorry, she's making lots of noise. Since I've been getting various other things, I'd always planned on getting tattoos, but I never had a real specific plan. I've had lots of different little ideas that have come and gone over the years, but I always wanted to make sure that I was 100% going to stick with something before I actually went with it. And so a combination of wanting to really make sure I was 100% set on something, and the fact that I'm just not massively into them is what's taken me so long to actually really get started. So I got my first tattoo about 2 years ago now. How old was I? I think I was 29. The original plan was to go in on my... No, 28 actually, sorry. But the original plan was to go in on my birthday and to get my nipples tattooed solid black. It was just a bit of stupid fun. But that ended up being put back because I actually started my new job, my current job. So yeah, that'll be 3 years ago then. So yeah, it was my 28th birthday. But I actually started my current job very quickly, and I end up just having to miss that, unfortunately. So I went in a few months later and I've got my nipples tattooed solid black. I'll see if you can see it. Hopefully you can see it. Hopefully you can see that. I don't know if that was high enough or not. But yeah, so that was obviously it wasn't really a serious thing as such. It was just a bit of silly fun, kind of wanted to have I don't know, I just kind of wanted to see how much it would hurt as much as anything. As I've mentioned before, with a lot of the things I do, I just do stuff to see what happens and how it goes and what it feels like, and just for the experience. And so yeah, I figured I'd jump in more or less at the deep end and just get both my nipples tattooed solid black as my very first ever tattoo. I think the whole thing didn't even take half an hour. It was a little bit tricky for Sam, my tattoo artist is Sam Rivers of Curiosities, and he's now actually tattooing up in Leeds as well at the moment. But yeah, it was a little bit tricky for him, just because I have had so many piercings in my nipples, and I have had them stretched, and I've had some of them ripped out, and so my nipples in general are just a bit of a mess. So it was a little bit tricky for him to actually tattoo them, but he got through it fine, and the black is pretty much held up perfect, and they're basically, with the exception of one very very small lump of scar tissue, the ink is held very well in them. So yeah, and then obviously someone's shouting. I don't know what's going on over there. So obviously I then planned on getting tattooed relatively quick afterwards, but it took me about another year, and that was when I obviously got the forearms done, the outsides of my forearms, just in solid black. I did the same on both arms, and then yeah, earlier this year, I forget exactly when it was, a few months ago, was when I got all that done. Hopefully you're in frame, as I can't actually see what's actually in frame, so hopefully you can see that right. So my original plan, I actually have more kitten scratches. The original plan was just to go solid black everywhere, and that's still my long-term plan. But Sam just wanted to try something a little bit different to start with. He's decided he wants to try doing a few sort of Japanese themed solid black work on me. So like this, like the cloud patterns and the wind patterns on this arm. He's going to do something similar on the inside of this arm. Don't know why I'm showing that because there's nothing there. If you can, again, I don't even know if there's anything. But the plan he's going to do this side is basically mirror this arm, but rather than doing wind and cloud patterns, he's going to do water and wave patterns on the inside of this arm. When we get around to it, don't know exactly when it's going to happen. We had hoped to get it done before the wedding in February, but that looks like that's probably not going to happen, which is a bit of a shame. So I would have liked to have been even just for the wedding photos. But you know, it's one of those things, it is what it is. But yeah, so I'm basically, my arms and legs, I'm pretty much going to let him do whatever he feels like. Because eventually it'll all be solid black anyway, so I'll just let him do whatever he wants, and if I decide I don't like it, I will just cover it up in solid black. And even if I do like it, I'll probably eventually end up just covering it in solid black anyway. But yeah, so like I say, the long-term goal obviously is this solid black, but I have other things I would like to do along the way. Like there's I've always liked the ideas of combining a lot of my interests in with tattoos and things I do eventually get. And the big one, my big lifelong interest, I suppose, has always been sort of animals and nature and outdoors and stuff. And pretty much the only tattoo that has been 100% constant in my mind for as long as I've been planning tattoos and things is to get a large wolf back piece. That's my stomach grumbling. Is to get a very large wolf tattooed on my back. I think my cats are scrapping. I might have to run off in 2 seconds. Yeah, I've always been massive anything outdoors, anything wild, anything in nature. I love being outdoors in the woods. I love exploring places and going to see mountains and valleys and rivers, you name it. If it's outdoors, I just love it. And a big part of that is obviously my love of animals as well. I have plenty of pets, and dogs and wolves in particular have been one of my favourite animals pretty much my whole life. I've grown up with dogs. My parents had dogs before they had me, so from day one I was living with dogs. And that massively influenced my idea for my back piece, which is quite simple really, nothing fancy. I just want quite literally just a big wolf on my back, my whole back. In case you didn't know where my back was, it's around there. So yeah, that's pretty much been the one solid thing, more or less my whole life, that I 100% wanted, definitely. I don't know when I'll go about doing that. That might well be one of the last pieces I actually do, at least on the first layer, before everything gets blacked out. And again, I don't know if I would actually even black that out. I might just keep that as the one thing that I never 100% black out. But yeah, so my other plans have been, after my arms are fully black, to have most of the top of my chest and up my neck, I want solid black as well. And the idea, I'll see if I can explain this. I'm not great at explaining my ideas, but the idea is to have it to come down to a point and to have a solid black line down through the middle to sort of cut, almost, not cut me in half, but to make like a half and half effect. And something else I'm very much into is music, instruments. Obviously, I'm a huge heavy metal fan, but I also am a massive lover of classical music and a lot of folk music and traditional music. And some of my favourite instruments are things like, I love bagpipes. Sorry, my cat's going crazy. That's not a noise I love. But I'm a massive fan of bagpipes. I love the hurdy-gurdy. The hurdy-gurdy is probably my all-time favourite instrument. I love harp music. And a few different little things like that. So something on one of the two sides, with obviously the black line straight down the middle, on one of the two sides, I have considered having tattoos of musical instruments put in. I haven't got any ideas exactly the order, but I would include probably, like I say, my favourite instruments. So hurdy-gurdy would 100% be in there. Bagpipes will probably be in there somewhere as well. I would love some sort of keyboard or key type instrument, or possibly a harpsichord in there somewhere as well. Again, all these ideas, I really need to refine them and sort it out properly in my mind. But it's all just like a big mess of ideas at the moment, so we'll see where exactly it goes. But yeah, and on the other side, I will probably have something music related again, but probably more specifically heavy metal and music festival oriented. Because obviously, well, not obviously necessarily, but being a big heavy metal fan, my favourite way to spend my times is either at gigs or at music festivals. I go to as many particularly heavy metal music festivals as I can get to. Most years, over the last 3 or 4 years, I go to 3 to 4 music festivals during the spring and the summer. And then I try and, like, big outdoor camping festivals. And then I try and get some slightly smaller indoor festivals during the winter as well. There's quite a few of those in England. There's quite a few of those across all of Europe, actually. Just things that are like 1 or 2 days just in like a sports hall or something like that somewhere. I quite often try and do a few of those. So the other side would be somehow related to that. I don't know. Again, I don't know exactly what I do, but it's something camping themed and festival themed. That's about as far as I've gotten with that. And then obviously there from the waist down will be completely solid black. So the legs, the feet, the sort of whole genital area, they'll all just be completely solid black. And other than that, my face, I'll start with my neck. The neck again will be completely black. The idea, well, I don't want underneath my chin where all the beard is at the moment anyway. I don't want that covered solid black. I want to keep my face and my head not black. I do plan on tattooing it eventually, just not completely solid black. That's probably the only bit that won't be 100% solid black, along with possibly my bag. And I have a snail crawling up a window. Anyway, so the idea is for that to come all the way around my neck, all around my throat, all the way up to the back, like a point on the back of my head. And from there going forwards, I'll probably have some sort of ornate design over the top of my scalp onto my forehead. I'll likely have similar designs carried on around my cheek and my nose, but my face won't be completely solidly covered in tattoos. But it will probably be mostly covered in tattoos by the time I'm done. I have very strongly mixed feelings about what I'm going to do with the whole area that's currently covered in my beard. I love my scruffy little hobo beard. I can't ever imagine myself shaving it off. But you never know. If I were to shave it off, or shave parts of it off, or trim it up, neaten it up, whatever, probably the bits that I actually remove would get covered in some sort of tattoos rather than just having plain skin. So for instance, I have considered more than once just shaving like this bit out. So I just have giant scruffy mutton chops and the moustache. I would quite likely then get my chin tattooed as well, for example. But again, I don't have anything necessarily specific in mind. Just chances are I'd probably just let Sam just go wild and do whatever he wants to do. And the other thing, obviously, is somewhat related, would be eyeball tattoos. I don't know 100% if I ever will get eyeball tattoos. It's something I love the look of, but I very much appreciate the risks and the dangers involved. So whether it's something I ever do, I don't know for certain. If I ever were to, I would very much like the whites of my eyes tattooed to be a very light, pale, almost sky blue coloured. That's the idea I've always had as far as that goes, if I ever were to go down that route. But whether I will or not, I don't know. But I'll actually do more than that in another video, because I have planned to do a specific video about eyeball modifications. There's a handful of modifications I would consider doing to my eyes, and I figured I might as well put that all into one in its own individual video, just to go into it in a bit more depth. That will probably be the last video I do in this series, so that might be a little way to go. But yeah, that's something to look forward to. So yeah, that will basically be the first layer, or the first suit, I guess. Like I said, I'll probably let Sam do a few more things like this on my arms and legs. Excuse me. Like I thought, since it's on the inside of my arms, maybe do something similar on the insides of my legs as well. But again, I will leave that up to him, and eventually, certainly my arms and legs definitely will be completely blacked out eventually anyway. So the plan is that will be like the first suit. That will be the first layer, I guess. Going forwards after that, I am kind of tempted just to do a second whole layer of black, just to see how much it changes, if it makes it much darker or if it makes it much more consistent. There's a few little spots that haven't healed well, particularly around my wrists for some reason, and I will get them touched up. And there's places where I just have scars from various accidents and things that have pulled the ink out. And so those bits will be touched up anyway, but I am considering going over everything a second time as well, just to see if it makes it a much darker, more consistent black as well, just to see if it works. I should imagine it will. I mean, I know I follow Ephemeral Remy on here and Instagram as well, and seeing the way his has come out, that encourages me to go down that route as well. And once that all is done, I have a few ideas for different little things I just want to try and experiment with. I've always loved the look of white ink over the top of black. I know it's something that doesn't always hold. It seems to vary a lot from individual to individual as to how much of the ink actually holds, that's part of the reason I want to give it a go myself, just to see firsthand how it heals, how it settles down. So the idea would be to then go over various places like, say, my chest or my neck. One idea I've actually had in particular is to have a moth tattooed in white on my neck. I'm a big fan of butterflies and moths. Again, going with the whole nature theme. I love butterflies and moths, and so that's something I've considered very strongly once it is all black, is to have a white moth tattooed across my neck. And various other ornate designs and just little geometric patterns and things done over the top of the black as well. Something else I would also like to try is putting different colours over the top of black. I have seen various tattoos done in the past, by pictures online for example, of putting different colours and different styles over the top of black, and it's surprising how well it seems to work sometimes. So I would like to do a handful of experiments just with different colours, maybe literally even just solid blocks of colour over the top of solid black, just to see how well it holds up and what it looks like after it heals. That's something that actually really interests me, just doing little experiments like that. And yeah, that's something that really interests me, trying little experiments like that, just to see how well it works and how things hold up and how they look when they heal, how they age, and that sort of thing. I just think that'd be a really interesting little thing just to try, just to see. And so yeah, so that'd probably be the second layer going over. From that point on, I don't know exactly what I would do. I would probably find some way to carry on getting tattooed. But yeah, exactly where it would go from there, I don't really know. As I have no specific goal, no specific end goal in the long term as such. It's just, like a lot of my modifications, it is just an ongoing evolution in my mind. And as we do things and start to add little things, ideas change and trot about. And particularly with tattoos, again, going back to the fact that I'm just not that 100% fussed about them. I'm not too bothered if things do change and adapt over time, and if Sam or if I end up going to another artist, if they want to try something, I'm more than happy to let people just do whatever they feel like doing, really. I mean, the only things I would 100% never get would be, I'm not into offensive tattoos as such, like, not nudity, I don't consider that as an offensive tattoo as such, but things like swear words, that's one thing that really doesn't interest me whatsoever. That's probably the only thing I would specifically not get tattoo-wise. And that sort of thing, like intentionally offensive things, just trying to upset people. That's not something I have any interest in whatsoever. So that's probably the only thing I would 100% guarantee I would not do. But yeah, so yeah, that would be all the tattoos. And the scarification wise, that's something that's something I kind of take a similar approach to. But again, I don't know how far I'll go with the scarification. Again, there's little things I want to try. For instance, that will be after I get solid black everywhere again. So I might try doing different simple designs on my arms. I'll try different styles from like branding and skin peeling and just straight cutting and things like that. I will try a few different artists that I've seen with have had varying degrees of results with different styles. Well, the sun's coming out and it's shining straight in my eyes. Yeah, so I would probably, that's really off-putting, I apologise. So probably what I will do once, say for example, my arms are solid black, I will probably try and do just very simple designs, just cut into the arms and shoulders and chest and the likes. I don't know about chest because I know chests in particular tend to heal very badly, and for whatever reason, I don't know the exact science behind it, but for whatever reason, large scale scarification pieces on the chest, they often tend to result in a lot of keloid scarring. Keloid, I don't know how you pronounce it, but a lot of they often tend to get a lot of keloid scarring, and it just ends up one giant scar right across the chest. So I don't know if I'll ever have anything particularly intense on my chest, but certainly my arms, my shoulders, and possibly even my legs, I would like to just try these various different styles just to see how well they heal, how my body reacts to them. And I do have an interest in trying ink rubbing style ink rubbing style scarification as well, where I would probably just try putting different types of ink inside the scars as they're healing, just to see again what colours hold up better, what are more obvious, what stays better, what falls out and just fades away and gets washed out during healing. Again, just little experiments, just to see how things go and how things settle down. But yeah, again, I don't necessarily have a specific style or anything like that. It's just something I want to do, again, just for the experience. Just so I have a first-hand of experience of going through the procedures, watching how the things heal, how things settle down, and how things age, as much as anything. That's a lot of what I do mod-wise in general. Often that is an end goal, is more the experience of going through the procedures and learning a little bit something about it firsthand is what attracts me to a lot of these things. And that goes exactly the same with tattoos and scarification as well. That evil sun is back again. But I was enjoying this nice cold winter day, and the sun has to go and ruin it all. Anyway, so yeah, that's, generally speaking, that's some big driving force between all of, or at least a lot of my modification plans, is just having the experience. And that's exactly the same for the tattoos and scarification. I have managed to talk for a lot longer than I thought I would. I think I've rambled on enough for now without really saying anything in the grand scheme of things. So I will, I will cut it short here before I end up trailing off and yammering on for another half hour. I don't know how long I've been talking. I will try and get this uploaded fairly soon. And it won't be so long before I do the next few. There were 3 more videos I wanted to do. I have them written down, so it's fine. I know there was one I was going to talk about, obviously heavy modification. I might actually break that up into 2 parts, because there is a lot of heavy modifications I plan on trying further down the line. So that might be a part 1 and a part 2 of that. And there was obviously the eyeball thing. I will make a video just about the eyeballs. That I was planning on making that the very last one. And there was something else as well. That's going to be bugging me the rest of the day now. Things I have them written on my phone. So as soon as I turn this off I can check, but then I can't tell you because the camera will be off. It's going to be bugging me all day that I can't remember this right now. But anyway, yeah. So they won't be so long. I won't be so long waiting for those, or it won't be such a long wait for me to get those up, because I know a little bit more about what I want to say and the direction I want to go with the videos. So yeah, before I yammer on anymore, I will say goodbye, and I'll give you another real quick look at the few tattoos I have so far. Obviously the black, and the forearm, and the nipples. Hopefully you can see that. Anyway, I have some coffee to drink, and my cats are suspiciously quiet, so I'm going to go find out what they're doing. Have a good day, thank you for watching, I'll see you all again soon. Ta-ra!